stupid asses. We have things to do. My goodness. And they interrupt the stream because I'm talking about a crime. Goodness. What is wrong with these people? Goodness. You can say the N-word. You can talk about, whatever you want to talk about. You can even write up lies. And they want to kick these old strangers? I don't think so. All right, give me a second. I about had it with this shit. It's probably because I played that Bill Clinton stuff. Okay, so we also know that after Polly was abducted, not far from Petaluma, there was a woman who noticed Richard Allen Davis. She called a friend of hers who owns the property. Her friend got in the car and she saw Richard Allen Davis in a Pinto. What a choice of car. That's okay. Again, it was 30 years ago. And she called the police and they came out and they made contact with him. Well, they just said, got to get the car off of here. We can help you tow it. We can help you start it. We can get a tow truck, whatever. But it wasn't until the palm print, fibers, and other things. One of the most pressing things was when the woman that had seen him the night of Polly's abduction, she was searching her own property, and lo and behold, the things from Polly's bedroom were out in her woods. Now, she did not know this, but she obviously could see it was a very strange scene. She called the police. They came out. They said, "Uh-oh, something happened here." Well, more than just that happened there, because in this time, people were pulling all kinds of shenanigans on the family, particularly the dad. One happened to be a young girl, calling Mark Klaas, pretending to be Polly. Look at this.
Even with so many leads, there was one in particular that investigators were anxious to follow up on. When Mark Klaas received the first call, the FBI was powerless to do anything about it. The second time she called, they were ready.
Hello.
Like the previous call, it sounded like Polly,
how are you, honey?
and she could only talk for a short time before she had to hang up.
Where are you?
But it was long enough for authorities to make a trace.
Polly. Got it.
The FBI had traced the call to a house 30 miles away. There hadn't been enough time to collect an army of agents. The job would have to be handled by a few. But something wasn't right. This was just a normal family home. There was no sign of Polly or her abductor. A terrible realization dawned on the agents. When they sat down with one of the girls in the house, she confessed to making the calls. She admitted that friends from school had dared her to call and impersonate Polly. The entire incident had been a cruel joke.
This was the only indication we had after a week's time that Polly just might be alive still, and we all were poised and hopeful that this would yield a solution and her safe recovery. Of course, it didn't.
Now, it's one thing for some grown weirdo to do something like this. And I agree with you. Thank you, Jules, for the super sticker. I agree with you. That chick is probably my age, and she's probably still grounded. All right, let's get to what some of the detectives said.
And my response was no. Time and resource.
The family had been especially discouraged. A letter Polly's parents wrote to the kidnapper was published in the October 17th San Francisco Examiner. Whoever you are, wherever you are, please return Polly to her family. She belongs here. We miss Polly so much. We miss the twinkle in her eye and her sweet humor. We long to see her beautiful smile and hear her musical voice. They also addressed Polly. Our darling, if you can read this, please know that your mommy and daddy love you so much, and we will continue to search for you until we can hold you safely in our loving arms again.
I don't think I ever lost hope. So I had numerous contacts with Mark Klaas, with Eve, with members of the family. And that was a question posed to me many times. And my response was no. We have not lost hope. We will not lose hope.
Across the country, people wanted to see Polly brought home. Banners sprang up, and Americans began a candlelight vigil. Thousands donned ribbons of lavender, Polly's favorite color, to show their support of the search.
We conducted searches during the day, during the night. We had a 24-hour operation going. We conducted searches sunny days, on foggy days, rainy nights. Whenever the information came in, we reacted to that because in a case like this, physical evidence is crucial.
The search never stopped. The Navy and search and rescue experts joined the thousands of volunteers who were constantly looking. Police and volunteer task forces worked tirelessly. But it would be nearly 2 months before anything broke. November 28th, 1993. It was 2 months after Polly Klaas was kidnapped that authorities got their first real lead. In Sonoma County.
This lady, in my opinion, is a hero. She sees some things around her property and she calls the authorities. Now, some people would just pick it up and be like, who's trashing my yard? But she called the police and they came out. And, well, it broke the case wide open.
County, a sheriff's deputy was called out to the house of Dana Jaffe. It sat at the end of a long, winding drive off Pythian Road. Dana had been out inspecting her property when she noticed something unusual and thought it might be of use to investigators. She led the deputy through a densely wooded area to a clearing just a few yards from the long, winding drive to her house. Scattered in the woods were a few items that seemed somewhat suspicious. There was a large piece of silk cloth that had been fashioned into what appeared to be a hood. A couple of strips of packing tape were on the ground. A pair of young girl's tights had been tied into a knot. and human hair was entangled in the knot. Other debris surrounded the area. Then Dana recalled the night she'd caught a trespasser on her property.